Get ready, Padres fans. It's time for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Tatis hit third, 2 outs. Fernando takes off. He's going to steal home without a play.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Giants, right-hander Spencer Bivens, and for the Padres, San Diego's own right-hander Joe Musgrove. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Joe Musgrove, plus our keys to the game, what to watch for in today's game, and in just a little bit, we check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres entered today 81-63. They entered today holding the National League's top wild card spot, a game and a half above the Arizona Diamondbacks for that top spot. Padres also begin the day 5 games behind the LA Dodgers for first place in the National League West. Giants, meanwhile, are 70-73. They're looking to win consecutive games for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. The Padres won the series opener on Friday. They were looking to do it again last night.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
The Padres were facing Giants starter Logan Webb in the first inning. The bases were loaded for Manny Machado.
First pitch to him, swung on, line drive into center field, and it's going to fall in for a base hit. Luis Arraez had a hold up. Now he's going to scamper home for the run. Padres on the board, 1-0.
Padres scored another run to make it 2-0. Dylan Cease took the mound for the Padres in the top of the second. There were 2 runners on base for the Giants, Grant McCray.
1-1 to McCray, driven to right field and deep. Looking up is Peralta, but he's not going to be able to catch this one. It is gone. A 3-run home run for Grant McCray, and all of a sudden the Giants have the lead in this ball game, 3-2.
Padres trailed 4-2 going to the bottom half of the 5th inning. A runner on third base for Luis Arraez.
First pitch to Arraez, swung on, line drive, base hit into center field. Run is going to score. Luis Arraez, what a hitting machine, has reduced this Padres deficit to 4-3 on his 3rd hit of the ball game.
Padres loaded the bases later in that inning. They didn't score again. Cease went 6 innings. He gave up 4 runs. Padres put 2 on with 1 out in the bottom half of the 6th inning against Webb. They did not score. Padres still trailed 4-3 going to the 9th inning. That's when McCray struck again.
Long hold, now the 2-1 offering to McCray. Swung on and driven to right field and deep. Going back is David Peralta, but for the second time tonight, Grant McCray has gone deep for the Giants. This time it is a 2-run shot. Give the Giants a 6-3 lead over the Padres.
So a 5 RBI evening for the rookie Grant McCray. Padres did get a leadoff double from Fernando Tatis Jr. in a pinch hit appearance to begin the bottom half of the 9th inning, but they did not score in their final at-bats of the 9th inning. Final score yesterday, Giants 6 and the Padres 3, and that sets up now the rubber match of this 3-game series on what is a very warm Sunday afternoon here at Petco Park. If you're on the way to the ballpark right now, encourage you to drink water, stay hydrated today, bring your sunscreen, put the sunscreen on. It is a very warm day here in America's finest city. The loft here inside the Western Metal Building, a lot of people hydrating, getting getting ready to enjoy what should be a good day of baseball here at Petco Park. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well, same handle there. Let me know, what is your key to this series finale? May just read your key to the game coming up a little bit later on. Let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Tony, let's start with the guy on the mound today for the Padres, right-hander Joe Musgrove. He has been really good since coming off the IL, a 1.30 ERA and 5 starts since returning from the injury. To this point, Tony, what stood out to you about the way Joe has pitched since coming off the IL?
Yeah, that guy on the mound that you referred to is he's been pretty good since he come back from the IL. His command has been phenomenal for a guy that really hadn't had a lot of time on the mound and had missed a lot of time being injured. And I just think that just speaks to the type of mindset Joe has when he's on the mound. I think you've seen the velocity tick up a little bit. And, just talking to him, he just feels so much better throwing the baseball, and that's just a positive for the Padres.
Yeah, it absolutely is. He's been great as of late. Really nice start on Monday against the Tigers. We'll talk more about Joe coming up a little bit later. Tony, I want to focus on a couple of hitters in the Padres lineup here today. One being Luis Arraez. He's batting .442 in his last 10 games. He has also not recorded a strikeout in 110 consecutive plate appearances. It's the longest anybody's gone without a strikeout in 20 years. I mean, it's just a remarkable stretch. For those of us that haven't played the game at the highest level, had to face major league pitching, how impressive is this for Arraez to go that long without recording a K?
It's 20 years impressive, as you just mentioned. I mean, it just hasn't happened in so long. 2004, that's a long time. And there was a time where this kind of streak would always be impressive, but it wouldn't be as talked about because there would be multiple guys who, not making those kind of, or at least starting those kind of streaks. Certainly not this long, though, and it's impressive because of the velocity these guys see. It's not as though Luis is the most disciplined in terms of not swinging outside the zone, and I think that kind of makes it even more impressive. I think he has one of the higher chase rates, but he also has one of the more accurate paths to the baseball. And so given the fact that he's not just solely swinging at strikes, he's hitting pitches that sometimes he has no business hitting, I think it makes it all the more impressive how long he's gone without striking out.
Yeah, he's certainly been very, very impressive as of late, what he's done with the bat. Another hitter I want to touch on, Tony, is Jurickson Profar. It's interesting with Jurickson, certainly last month or so, he's cooled down quite a bit, does have 3 hits in his last 3 games combined, a hit in each game. But you look at even the quality of the at-bats and even the on-base percentage, let's say in the last 7 games or so, it's above 400. It seems like, Tony, with Jurickson, even when he's not swinging the bat great, he still finds a way to put together some really good plate appearances.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you've seen here recently as he's cooled off is what makes Jurickson a productive player and why he's been able to stay in this league for 10-plus years. That's who he's always been. He's always found ways to get on base and help his ball club. I think what separated it this year was the fact that he's been able to, be consistent offensively. In terms of some of the other statistics, some of the other categories we often talk about. And that's really been the big difference. Him getting on base isn't really a whole lot new. I think he's always had a good eye at the plate. He's always been a tough at-bat. He just wasn't getting the hits to go along with it. This year, that's been the difference. But I think in the last couple of weeks as he's kind of cooled off, you're starting to see some of those things that still make him a really valuable player to have in your lineup.
Finally, Tony, let's stay on the offense, more in the context of today's game. Spencer Bivens on the mound for the Giants today, a 30-year-old rookie, somebody the Padres have never seen before. What do you view as the keys today for this lineup against the guy they haven't seen in Spencer Bivens?
Yeah, that sometimes when teams haven't seen a guy before, it takes some time before they start to kind of figure it out. Sometimes they don't figure it out, but I think what's great about this Padre offense is, we've often talked about, it doesn't really matter who's on the mound. These guys put together a good team game plan. They may get away from it at times if a pitcher is presenting certain things that they can capitalize on, but I think that's why this team is so enjoyable to watch, because not a lot changes from day to day in terms of their approach and how they're going to try to get a victory.
All right, Tony, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Bob Scanlon coming up at 1 p.m. as the Padres go for a series win against the Giants. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, that's Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Padres looking for their 12th series win in their last 15 played. Padres still have the best record in the major leagues since the All-Star break at 31-14, despite losing the middle game of this 3-game set last night. Again, right-hander Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres here today, and right-hander Spencer Bivens on the mound for San Francisco. It's a bit of a bullpen day for the Giants. We'll talk more about that, tell you a little bit more about Bivens and what he's done so far this season a little bit later in our pregame coverage. But it is going to be sort of a bullpen day for the Giants, and Joe Musgrove, who, like we said, has been really, really good since coming off the IL, he takes the mound here in downtown San Diego. When we come back, we revisit what Mike Shildt had to say after yesterday's game. Plus, coming up a little bit later, I go one-on-one with Joe Musgrove, our keys to the game, and much, much more to come on the Padres Radio Network. Back here on the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. PetcoPark.com. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10. Final game of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Giants. Padres winning on Friday night, Giants winning yesterday, and now the rubber match of this 3-game set. Let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Mike Shildt today. So let's revisit what Mike had to say after yesterday's 6-3 loss to the Giants. Dylan Cease had a little bit of an up and down outing yesterday. Gave up a 3-run home run to Grant McCray. Gave up another run a little bit later. So 4 runs allowed in 6 innings, although Cease did get through 6, and he did keep the Padres right in the game. Here was Mike Shildt last night on Dylan Cease's outing.
Yeah, man, a lot of credit. Grinding a little bit. They took some swings on him early. Stuff was good, coming out 98 in the first, and Sauter looked good. They put some swings on him, and shoot, man, the McCray, man, what a nice stroke. Big 3-run homer. I mean, he did the damage to us. 2 swings really with the difference, but give him credit. Put a swing on him, grinded out. They got 1 on the 4th on him, and then you know what? Found a way to get through 5 and 6, and I applaud him for how he competed and kept it right there forward and clearly gave us a shot at it.
Seems like Jackson.
Meanwhile, the Giants starting pitcher Logan Webb, he was really good yesterday. 6 innings, 3 runs given up, gave up 2 early runs in the first inning. Padres got a run against him in the 5th inning, but Webb getting his 12th win of the year yesterday. Obviously, Webb, a very, very good right-hander in the National League. Here was Mike Shildt on facing Webb last night.
Yeah, I mean, he, we got him early, bases loaded, able to scratch a couple, and, just weren't able to add on. We got 1 in the 5th, and, he made pitches. He's a veteran guy, so he kept the ball down, and we had some good swings at him, and couldn't add on too much.
It was another great game for Luis Arraez last night. 3 hits, all singles, an RBI, and a run scored. We'll get a little bit deeper into what Arraez has done at the plate as of late in our next segment during Who's Hot, Who's Not. But here was Mike Shildt last night on the value of what Luis Arraez is doing at the very top of the lineup.
Tremendous weapon. I mean, right when the game starts, you're in for a battle right from the get-go. And then every time he comes up, but that's pretty much our whole lineup. We don't strike out a lot. It's relentless at bats, it's tough, competitive at bats, and Louis sets the tone for everybody. So it's a tremendous talent.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after yesterday's loss. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game show coming up a little bit later on today after this one is over. It's Military Sunday here with the Padres, and we want to give a special salute to all our active duty service members, veterans, and their families. San Diego County Toyota dealers are proud partners of the Padres and honored to support San Diego's military community. First pitch coming up at 1:10 here at Petco Park. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with the hot category and a deep look at Luis Arraez, who's batting .442 with a .489 on-base percentage in his last 10 games. Arraez hasn't struck out in 110 consecutive plate appearances. He's only struck out twice since the All-Star break in 186 plate appearances. Juan Pierre is the only other player since the year 2000 with a single-season streak of at least 110 straight plate appearances without a strikeout. He last did it in 2004. So Arraez is doing something right now that has not been done in 20 years. He just does not strike out. Again, he struck out twice since the All-Star break. It is remarkable, and Arraez is swinging the bat really, really well as of late. Also in the hot category, Manny Machado batting .353 in his last 8 games with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs since June 16th, a span of 69 games. Manny's batting .306 with 19 home runs, 58 RBIs, 14 doubles, and a .913 OPS in that span. In the not category, Mason McCoy, who's back in the lineup today, playing shortstop and batting 9th. He's 0 for 12 in his last 4 games. David Peralta not in the lineup today, but he's just 2 for his last 14. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for the rubber match of this 3-game series. When we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, we give you the latest on Jackson Merrill, who was not in the lineup yesterday after dealing with the left patella contusion, so we'll update you on him. We'll also have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our keys to the game. Plus, coming up a little bit later, I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Joe Musgrove. Much more to do on our pregame coverage. We have more after this from Petco Park on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10, the series finale between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Padres will head to Seattle after today's game, day off tomorrow. Then they play Tuesday, Wednesday in Seattle, another off day on Thursday, and then a 3-game series in San Francisco Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before the Padres return home for their final homestand of the regular season. Of course, the Padres entered today sitting in the top wildcard spot in the National League, a game and a half up on the Arizona Diamondbacks, who began the day in the number 2 wildcard spot. And speaking of those teams, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little bit. I also go one-on-one with Joe Musgrove in a little bit as well. Like we said, it is a very hot day here at Petco Park, so I did want to tell you, if you're on the way to the game, of course, stay hydrated today, bring your sunscreen today. By the way, the Padres are providing complimentary cold bottled water for all ticketed guests today at Petco Park. Vouchers are distributed upon entry at all gates and can be redeemed at any concession stand throughout Petco Park that serves bottled water. Fans can also bring empty, reusable water bottles. So just so you know, as you make your way to the ballpark today, free sunscreen also available at all aid stations throughout the stadium today. And, of course, a lot of cold treats you can enjoy at Petco Park. You've got Orange Gelato, you've got Mr. Softy, you've got the frozen fryer, shaved ice, and much, much more. So do what you can to stay cool today. Going to be a hot one for this series finale. Let's give you the latest on Jackson Merrill and the Giants' injuries as well.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Jackson Merrill fouled the ball off his left knee on Friday. He came out of the game with a left patella contusion. X-rays were negative. He did pinch hit in the ninth inning yesterday, and the good news is that Jackson is back in the lineup here today, batting seventh and playing center field. So very, very good news there. Jackson only out of the lineup for one day, and now he's back in there today. Fernando Tatis Jr. also had a scheduled off day yesterday as he continues to work his way back from the IL. So Fernando back in the lineup today as well, playing right field and batting second. Giants put lefty Kyle Harrison on the IL with a shoulder injury on Friday. That's why they're going with right-hander Spencer Bivens on the mound today. It's going to be more of a bullpen game. We'll have a little bit more about that coming up in a bit, but the Harrison IL stint playing a factor in today's pitching situation for San Francisco. And that is a look at the situation for Merrill, for the situation with Kyle Harrison and the Giants rotation right now as we give you our injury report. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday. We have one final already. Rays beat the Orioles 2-0 in Baltimore. Johnny DeLuca, hit a two-run home run in that game for the Rays, the only runs that were scored in that game in Baltimore. Game's going on right now. White Sox and the Red Sox tied at 2 in the 8th inning at Fenway Park. Blue Jays trailing the Braves 1-0 in Atlanta in the 7th inning. Pirates 7, Nationals 2 in Pittsburgh in the 8th inning. Mets ahead of the Reds 1-0 in the 7th inning in New York. The Mets looking for a 10th win in a row. Starling Marte an RBI single in the 6th inning to put the Mets ahead. Marlins beating up on the Phillies 10-0 in Miami in the 8th inning. Rockies 4, Brewers 1 in Milwaukee in the 5th inning. Royals 2, Twins 0 in Kansas City in the 6th inning. Mariners leading the Cardinals 7-2 in St. Louis in the 5th. Cubs 2, Yankees 1 in Chicago in the 5th inning. Rangers leading the Angels 5-3 in Arlington in the 4th inning. Games yet to begin. Tigers and the A's at 1:07. Guardians and the Dodgers in LA at 1:10. And finally, later on today at 4 p.m., the Diamondbacks and the Astros in Houston. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday. Obviously keeping a very close eye on that Diamondbacks-Astros game in Houston, the Guardians-Dodgers game in LA, the Mets and the Reds in New York, and also the Braves and Blue Jays in Atlanta. All those teams very involved in the mix, whether it be in the NL West or in the NL wildcard race right now. I go one-on-one with Joe Musgrove coming up in just a little bit. First, let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number 1, take a lead and create separation. Here's why I bring that up for the Padres today. In the Padres' past 31 games, 21 of them have been within 3 runs at some point in the final 3 innings, including the first 2 games of this series. Padres had a 2-0 lead yesterday in the first inning, but if you watched yesterday's game, you listened to yesterday's game, you heard me talk about yesterday's game on the post-game show, you know, one thing I said yesterday was that it felt like the Padres should have scored a little bit more in that first inning, and then they had opportunities, bases loaded a little bit later in the game, 2 on with 1 out later in the game. They could not build that lead, create separation yesterday. Doing that today seems like a big key. Getting out to a bigger lead, not putting so much pressure on Joe Musgrove in the Padres bullpen. That's key number one. Key number two, who would have thought this would be a key when we started yesterday's game? But slow down McRae. Giants rookie Grant McRae had a tremendous game last night out of the number 9 spot in the batting order. A 3-run home run, a 2-run home run. He also drove in a run with a double play ball. He essentially brought home all 6 runs the Giants scored in yesterday's game. So what did the Giants do today? He's leading off for San Francisco. He's been really good so far. 5 home runs, 9 RBIs in 19 games since being called up to the major league. So the Padres have to put an emphasis on slowing this guy McRae down today in the leadoff spot, playing center field for San Francisco. Key number 3. Keep the Giants' leadoff batters off base. And here's why I bring it up. Twice yesterday, the Giants' leadoff hitter in an inning got on base and then scored. And the Giants are actually really good at getting on base to lead off an inning. They're hitting .261 leading off an inning. That ranks top 5 in the majors. They have the 5th most hits in the majors leading off an inning. They have the 3rd most doubles in the majors leading off the inning. A lot of the categories, including on-base percentage, 2nd in the majors leading off an inning. They are very adept at getting on base to lead off an inning. So whether it be Joe Musgrove, whether it be the Padres bullpen today, keeping the leadoff man off base is a key against this Giants lineup, and that's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back, I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Joe Musgrove, plus we tell you what to watch for in today's game. First pitch coming up at 1:10 here in downtown San Diego for this series finale between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues when we return on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants on this Sunday afternoon. First pitch coming up at 1:10 on what is a very warm but very nice Sunday here in America's finest city. Padres come in 81-63. Giants come in 70-73. Padres looking for their 12th series win in their last 15 series. We'll see if they can get it done today before hitting the road for what will be a 5-game road trip to Seattle and then to San Francisco. Padres playing Tuesday and Wednesday in Seattle. They have 2 off days this week, one tomorrow, one on Thursday, and then a 3-game series in San Francisco on Friday, Saturday, and next Sunday coming up. Well, Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres here today. He has been really, really good since coming off the IL. We'll get a little bit deeper into his numbers as of late, a little bit later in this segment, but Joe has a 1.30 ERA in 5 starts since returning from the IL. He's thrown all his different pitches. He's looked really, really good, and he'll try to get the Padres a win here today. I caught up with Joe earlier this week inside the Padres clubhouse. Since returning from the IL, the numbers have been really good. The stuff looks to be coming out really, really nicely. How do you feel about the way you've pitched so far since coming off the injury?
Yeah, I'm proud of my ability to be in the strike zone. Typically I don't see this much sharpness out of an assortment of 6-7 pitches. This soon into a return from a 2-month layoff. So. Yeah, really happy with my ability to fill up the zone. I've been able to get deep into games for the most part. Even on the shorter pitch counts, I was able to get into the 5th inning on most of those games and, save the bullpen a bit. But, yeah, I've been executing at a pretty high clip and been able to mix it up pretty well.
The start on Monday against the Tigers, another really good outing. In that start in particular, what worked well?
I had a really good feel for the breaking balls. Curve balls were really sharp, and I think the biggest outlier for me is when I can have a good sinker. Using it to the righties in certain counts to kind of protect the outer half where I want to do a lot of my damage with the breaking balls. Having something I can run in on the hands in certain counts or guys that are over aggressive, try to get quick outs throughout the course of the game. That's a big pitch for me. Most of my stuff has a leftward break, whether it's the cutter or the breaking balls. Even the 4-seam has a little slight cut on it at times. So having something I can run in on the hands and not have everything be, running away where guys can kind of sit and look out over, that's been extremely helpful for me. But, yeah, located a lot of stuff, got ahead of guys, stayed ahead, and then was able to put a few guys away.
Now that you've been back for a few weeks, as you kind of look back at the injury, the rehab process, having to not throw for a little bit, how would you sort of sum up the last few months of this season for you?
Yeah, I think I really maximized the time down. You never want to miss time, but whenever you do, there's a lot of things that you can do to capitalize on that downtime. I know at times it's viewed as, a break, give your arm some rest, but, you try to isolate a few things that you typically don't have the time or, the bandwidth to really focus on throughout the course of the season. There's other things that are more important when it comes to getting ready for a start and your game planning, your physical work in the gym and in the training room, and you really try to pick the few things that are extremely important to you and really capitalize on those. But when you have this much downtime, you're able to isolate, some other areas that need some work. I was really able to look at myself as a leader in the clubhouse and find out how I can get better in that aspect. And I tried to stay involved and stay around the guys, made every road trip. So I think that stuff all helped me when it came back to getting out there and performing. I felt like I was part of this group still and didn't feel like I was too far removed.
We're joined by Padres starting pitcher Joe Musgrove here on the Padres Radio Network. You talk about having that perspective while not playing, and you watch this team really start to take off out of the All-Star break into the second half. Now you're a big part of it from that sort of unique perspective of not playing the early part of the second half. How would you assess what this team has gone through in the second half of the year?
Yeah, we've been missing a lot of our key pieces. At one point or another, some of them all overlapping each other. But this is kind of ideally what you want throughout this stretch is, you miss your guys, the team's able to stay above water and honestly excel without some of those guys. And like I said, being around the group throughout the course of that, I could really see the identity and the unity of this team growing. And it just makes you more and more excited to get back and be a part of it. So when I came back in here, I knew what I expected out of the offense and what they were capable of doing. And it kind of gives you a little bit of freedom to go out there and challenge guys and, not be afraid of giving up 1-2 runs and knowing that as long as you keep them in the game, we got a good chance of winning. So It's been a super fun group to watch. Obviously frustrating to sit by and not be able to contribute, but I did everything I could to get myself ready so that when the call did come and I was able to get back here, I was able to make an impact.
We'll finish up with this, the start on Sunday against the Giants. With this new schedule, things are kind of weird in the sense that we haven't seen the Giants since early April. What is the process of now getting ready for a team when you haven't physically seen them in months during the course of a season?
Yeah, I think you look at, the roster's a little bit different. The top guys in their lineup are very similar, but they got a lot more younger guys, a lot of guys that I haven't faced or have very minimal at-bats against. So a little bit of it is going back and watching, old film and old outings and see how I attacked them and what kind of holes I could spot there. But then there's experienced hitters over there that, at some point will start thinking along with you and try to sit on certain pitches and certain counts. So just watching tendencies, watching the last 2 weeks of at-bats of each guy and kind of seeing what they're struggling with and what they're doing well with at the time, and then ultimately going out there and trusting my stuff. I have a really good mix of pitches that I can attack righties and lefties with. So, majority of those guys are going to get my best stuff. And then there's a few guys that are outliers in the lineup where I'll take some chances or be a little bit more, unpredictable. But it's just a steady mix and try to fill up the zone, get ahead.
Joe, good luck with the start on Sunday. As always, appreciate the time. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.
That was Joe Musgrove inside the Padres clubhouse earlier this week. We'll talk plenty more about Joe during our pitching preview coming up in just a couple of minutes. And you heard me ask Joe there about facing the Giants for the first time in a really long time. It's such an odd part of the schedule this year. The Padres series this weekend against the Giants, their first against the Giants since all the way back in early April. And in the lineup today for the Giants, a number of rookies, including Grant McCray, including Tyler Fitzgerald, including Luis Matos, Marco Luciano. They have a very youthful lineup today in this series finale. Before we get to what to watch for in today's game, a couple of offensive notes for you. The Padres lead all of baseball this year in batting average at .265 and in total hits at now 1,300 on the season. It's the latest in a season the Padres have ever led the major leagues in batting average. So the Padres have never done what they're doing right now, which is lead the major leagues in team batting average this late in a season. We talked about this a couple of times earlier this week. The Padres, a team that does not strike out very much at all. The Padres have struck out 940 times, the fewest strikeouts by any team in Major League Baseball. So when you talk about the Padres' offensive success this season, it's very much about putting the ball in play. Again, they lead the majors in batting average, and they have the fewest strikeouts in the major leagues. Manny Machado hit 2 home runs on Friday night. He now has 163 with the Padres. That ties Nate Colbert atop the franchise home run leaderboard. The next home run that Manny hits will put him as the all-time home run leader in franchise history. So we'll see if Manny has number 164 as a Padre in him today. Manny playing third base and DHing today in this series finale. Let's tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game, the return of Jackson Merrill into the Padres lineup. Like we said earlier, Merrill out of the lineup yesterday with that left patella contusion. Merrill back in there today. The 21-year-old rookie has 82 RBIs this season, already a club record for the most RBIs by a rookie in a single season, passing Benito Santiago, who had 79 RBIs in 1987. Santiago also won Rookie of the Year in the National League in 1987, so Merrill trying to do that as well. Merrill's 22 home runs now tie him with Fernando Tatis Jr. for the 4th most home runs in a season by a Padres rookie. He trails only Jed Jerko, who had 23 in 2013, Nate Colbert, who had 24 home runs in 1969, Hunter Renfroe, 26 home runs in 2017 as a rookie. It's been just a marvelous rookie campaign for Merrill. Leads all rookies in RBIs, batting average, slugging percentage, home runs, extra base hits, and OPS. And we'll see how Merrill returns to the lineup here today after being out of the lineup. One of the rare occasions he's been out of the lineup this season with that left patella contusion in yesterday's game. So Jackson Merrill back in the lineup. We'll see if Merrill can keep on climbing up that rookie home run leaderboard in Padres franchise history. Now let's dive into our starting pitching matchup between Joe Musgrove and Spencer Bivens.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. Presented by Chimney Sweeps, Inc., San Diego's trusted chimney and fireplace service company for 40 years. Call Chimney Sweeps, Inc. at 1-800-CHIMNEY or book an inspection online at chimneysweepsinc.com.
Right-hander Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres here today. The 31-year-old in 2024 is 5-4, a 4.09 ERA, 15 starts, 77 innings. He struck out 71 and walked 21. Musgrove has a 3.10 ERA in 5 starts since returning from the IL, 27 strikeouts in 27-plus innings, a 167 opponent batting average in that span. Since coming off the IL, his average fastball velocity is up almost 1.5 miles per hour. He's now averaging 93.5 miles per hour on that fastball since coming off the IL, so that has been a very good sign. His last start on Monday against the Tigers, 6 scoreless innings. He gave up just 3 hits. He struck out 8. Musgrove started against the Giants back on March 29th. Allowed 4 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings. Matt Chapman hit a home run against Musgrove in that game. Musgrove has a 4.03 ERA in 14 career starts against the Giants. Lamont Wade Jr. has 6 hits against Musgrove in his career, including 2 home runs. But even with that said, Lamont Wade Jr. not in the lineup today for San Francisco. Meanwhile, on the mound for the Giants, right-hander Spencer Bivens, a 30-year-old rookie. He's 3-1 with a 2.86 ERA in 19 appearances so far this season. He's made just 1 start, 34 2/3 innings, 24 strikeouts, and 8 walks. His last appearance came on Wednesday against Arizona. 4 innings, 2 earned runs given up, 2 hits allowed, including 1 home run. He threw 54 pitches. He's thrown as many as 64 pitches this season and as many as 5 innings, so he should be able, if he's effective, to give the Giants some length today. He has not faced the Padres yet in this rookie season. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup today. On the mound for the Padres, right-hander Joe Musgrove, and on the mound for the Giants, right-hander Spencer Bivens. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Well, the Padres winning on Friday night, losing yesterday sets up the final game of this 3-game set, the rubber game of this 3-game set. Again, the Padres entered today 81-63. Even though we've got a long way to go, Padres would secure a winning record here in 2024 with their 82nd win. They enter today holding the National League's top wildcard spot, a game and a half ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks, so the Padres trying to, at the very least, maintain that game and a half lead over Arizona. Meanwhile, the Giants are 70-73. They have not had a very good second half, looking to win consecutive games for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. The Padres trying to win their 12th series out of their last 15. Should be a fun one here at Petco Park, with first pitch coming up in just a little bit at 1:10. When we come back, Bob Scanlon, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.